Yeah, we'll play like 30 seconds of music and then go into it. All right, I got us live. I'm ready. Hey, sports fans, Louis Diamond back at you live from Las Vegas in our BettorCenter studios. And we're going to run down the games. It's getting late. We got about 20 minutes before a lot of these games go off. I got a couple of winners in here. So let's get right down to it. The San Francisco Giants, they are at the Philadelphia Phillies today. And the Giants open up as about a $1.05 favorite. But boy, they're pounding the Phillies up to $1.25. The total opens up at 8.5. They're betting the game over the 9. And I can see why they're playing the Phillies. Giants 4-14 their last 18 road games versus a right-handed pitcher. 9-19 overall on the road this year. 2-7 their last 9 games overall. 1-4 their last 5 road games. So you can see why you'd be getting a little bit of steam there with the Phillies, who are 5-1 their last 6 home games versus a left-handed starter, but 18-40 overall the last 58. So hot right now, but not a team that you really like to back. 4-10 their last 14 games following a day off, and the Phillies are also 11-28 the last 39 road games following a loss. And on Friday, 3-11, and then 1-7 on their first game of a series. Hike off. 1-5 his last 6 starts, 0-6 his last 6 starts during the first game of a series. It'd be tough to back that. I could see why you'd want to go against San Fran, but I'm not seeing why you're going to want to play Philadelphia in this game. The over's 5-1 in the Giants' last 6 games following a day off, but it's 6-2-1 in Black's last 9 starts overall. He is an under pitcher. Philly comes in 4 out of 5 overs following a day off, but 4-1-1 to the under on Friday. But a big number here for them. They are 19-5-3 their last 27 games versus the National League West. And when these two teams get together, the over has hit 5 out of the last 6, 9 out of the last 12. 5 out of the last 6 was in Philadelphia. And the Giants have won 15 out of the last 21 meetings. I'm leaving this game alone. I will be passing it. But as we said, the steam was on Philadelphia and the over. We'll see what happens in this event. Next game on the board, we're looking at the Boston Red Sox. And they are traveling over to the Baltimore Orioles. Once again, this is the second game of the series. And the Red Sox 8-3 their last 11 games overall. 5-2 their last 7 versus a right-hander. And 15-7 following a loss, which obviously happened yesterday. And 12-14, though, for the Red Sox this year on the road, while Baltimore comes in 18-8 at home. So definitely a solid number for Baltimore right there. The line on the game is $1.30 right now, with Baltimore is, Boston minus $1.30. Pretty solid there all day long. The total has been a solid 9.5. So not much movement in there. Porcello, 14-2 his last 16 starts in the second game of a series. 7-2 his last 9 starts on the road. 22-10 his last 32 starts But he's 0-5 versus the American League East. Now the Orioles, they might be a nice little dog here. You got a little spot here. 21-8 their last 29 home games. 56-26 their last 82 home games when they face a right-hander. 37-18 their last 55 home games versus a team with a losing record. But they're cold right now, 3-8. Their last 11 overall, 1-7 their last 8 games versus a righty. So a little leery, but I can see a little value with an underdog here with them Baltimore Orioles getting some $1.20, $1.25 at home maybe. The under is 6 out of the last 8 for the Red Sox. But everything else says over. 6-2 in the second game of the series. 11-4 on the road. 5-1 for Porcello on the road. 4-1. Porcello's last 5 starts. 6-2 for Porcello to the over. His last 8 starts following the quality start in his last appearance. So we got some over screaming there, but Baltimore, they give you a little bit of under to work with. 4 straight unders on Fridays, and 42-18-2 for the Orioles. Their last 62 home games, under. So, and I don't know if some of you have been with me for a while, but most of you won't know that we rode the Orioles last year 18 straight games after the All-Star break. Betted under every day. So most of those wins, most of those unders happened right after the All-Star break last year, and you got to be around to catch them. And if you stick around BettorCenter, you might be around to catch them. The under is 6-1-1 the last 8 meetings between Baltimore and Boston. 4-1 when Porcello has been on the mound. 11-3-2 the last 16 overall, head-to-head. And the last 10 times that they've played in Baltimore, though, the Red Sox have come out ahead. And Diaz is on the mound, or I'm sorry, behind the plate here tonight. And he has a current record. I missed it. All right, so Diaz on the mound, or behind the plate tonight as the umpire, and I lost his number, guys. So he's 5-2 over his last 7 games behind the plate. Damn it, I got to stop missing that stuff. All right, next game on the board is going to face the New York Yankees. And they are going to be playing the Toronto Blue Jays. The Yankees open up $1.26 favorite. Small little steam on the Blue Jays. As it is right now, the Yankees are currently a $1.20 favorite. And the Yankees come in 14-12 on the road. Toronto 15-13 at home. The Yankees 6-1 their last 7 road games versus a left-handed starter. 21-9 versus their last 30 games of on their second game when they play in the second game of the series. So they pop that second game fairly well. But when they get to Fridays, it doesn't work well for them. They're 3-8 on Fridays. Pineda's 11-1 his last 12 starts versus a team with a winning record. 8-1 his last 9 starts overall. 5-2 his last 7 on the road, and 1-5 on the AstroTurf. And like I said, 5 straight overs head-to-head for these two teams. So that's definitely something that you want to take into consideration. 3 straight overs for the Yankees, 4 out of 5, so a little over trending. Toronto's kind of a little bit back and forth, not giving you much to work with. Pineda 6-4 to the over his last 10 games, while Liriano is 3-4 to the under, so not giving you a lot to work with for Liriano, but 5-0-1 to the over for Pineda versus Toronto his last 6 games. Liriano did pitch 2 overs his last 2 games versus the Yankees, but before that he had a series of 4 unders and actually 6 out of 7 unders. But last 2 games has gone over. So we'll see what happens here. And that was his last 2 starts altogether. 3 out of 4 versus the Yankees have gone over for Pineda. So a little bit of back and forth. Blue Jays 6-0 after scoring 2 runs or less in their previous game. They bounced back after having no bats. And maybe that will happen here for tonight. Like I said, Pineda's been hot. He's the hot pitcher. Blue Jays, they're hot at home right now. 13-5 at home their last 18. They're hot overall, 8-2 their last 10. So maybe a little bit of a there's not much of a dog, but a little bit of an edge for the home team. The Blue Jays, Liriano's doing just as well. 4 out of 5 starts are a win. 6 out of 8 are a win at home. And as far as the total goes, Yankees 5 out of the last 7 have gone over on the road. Pineda's over on turf. Pineda's over after a quality start. And he's also over when he's pitching against a team with a losing record, 24-8-4. So some over there. Toronto comes in over 12-3-1 after a loss. But Liriano, 6-1 under at home. 2 overs were on the road. 5 straight overs for both these teams. But the under is 17-5, the last 22 in Toronto. A lot of things are going both ways, so let's blame it on the umpire. Johnson, 27-12-4 to the over the last 43 games behind home plate. So we're going to give the edge a little bit to the over. I got to stay away from the game, and I got to move on to the next game, and that is going to be with the Arizona Diamondbacks playing the Miami Marlins. Once again, another game, and I'm going to be quick with this because there's not much to give us in this game. A lot of backwards. Both one team's over, one team's under. Diamondbacks 10-3 their last 13 games versus a right-handed starter. 13-4 overall their last 17. So they are hot. Corbin's on the mound. He's hit 5 out of 7, but he's hit his last 5 out of 7, but he's lost his last 9 road starts. Marlins 4-1 their last 5 overall, but Urena 7-15 his last 22 starts, 2-11 his last 13 at home. And the line on the game is opened up with Miami minus $1.12. It's still somewhere $1.12, $1.15. Not much movement. Some movement on the under. Opened at 9, went to 9.5, went down to 8.5. I got to believe there's some under. There's some reasoning for it. 7 out of 9 unders for the D-backs versus a righty. 9 out of 3 their last 12 overall. 29-10 to the under for the D-backs on the road. They're that team that you want to bet under on the road, and you want to bet over at home, but they're not playing an under team today with the Miami Marlins. That's definitely the case. The Marlins have hit this series 4 out of the last 5. Marlins have won 4 out of their last 5 overall, and 5-2-1 for Urena to the under his last 8 home starts. So he's been an under. 6 out of the last 8 have been under in Miami. 19-7 the last 26 overall to the under. And Hamari's behind the plate, 4-1 to the under. So you could definitely see a little bit of reasoning for the under. Not enough for me to pull a trigger, like I will be pulling the trigger here today with the next game on the board. The Pittsburgh Pirates traveling to the New York Mets. And as you know, if you've been watching, I am definitely been playing the Mets over. I've been riding them over 32-12 to the over this season. And this isn't our first trip. And yes, they did go under yesterday, and we took it on the chin. But I get it back today. And if I don't, I'll get it back tomorrow, because this is the worst spot for this series this weekend with Cole on the mound. But the Pirates 7-15 their last 22 games versus a right-hander, 4-9 their last 13 on the road. The total on this game is 8.5. It opened up at 8, got steamed to the over. Obviously, I know why. And the Mets will get steamed over, should get steamed over every day for a while anyways. And the line on the game where the Mets open up $1.15, now they're they're hovering between $1.10 and $1.15. Not too much movement. But Cole 7-6 his last 23 starts. So that is a good reason to look at the Mets right there. But he's been a dead under. 0-4 his last 4 road starts. The Mets 34-16 their last 50 versus the National League Central. But Harvey, he's been a little bit back and forth. When he went from the man to not wanting to be a guy you want to back too much. 2-6 his last 8 starts. 2-11 his last 13 following a quality start. So he's not putting them together back to back. He just had a good outing. So I'm thinking he's going to give up some runs here today. Pirates, back to this over again. 6-1-1 the last 8 games versus a right-handed starter. The over 4-1 to the over their last 5 road games. 6 straight unders, so as I said, for Cole, and on the road, and 9-1 for him to the under his last 9 starts. So that is the only spot. Mets fit 32, 11-8 to the over their last 51. Guys, the game's starting shortly. Get into the book. Get on this game over. The Mets 17-6-5 to the over their last 28 home games. Let's cash a ticket here, guys. This is a nice solid over. 34-16-3 for the Mets. Their last 53 games versus a team with a winning record or a losing record to the over. Harvey, he's been over 4-0-1 last 5 home starts. 4-1-1 his last 7 starts. And when they get together head to head in New York, nothing but overs. 24-9-2 last 35 times they played there. 4-0-1 last 5 meetings. So definitely a solid play for the over here with the Mets. Like I said, you got the 8 on the screen, but it's up to 8.5. I mean, we know why, and we're going to bet it. And let's get on to the next game because it's also going off shortly, and it's also another winner that I think I'm going to be able to get to you here today. And that is going to be with the Atlanta Braves and the Cincinnati Reds. And total opened up 9.5, and I'm seeing 10s now. And there's a reason why. And he always says, I say, and I'll say it every day, you want to play the Braves. You want to look for always a reason to play the Braves over. So we went from 9.5 to 10 on that game. And Cincinnati opens up as a $1.10 favorite. And now they are moved to a $1.20 favorite. Now the Braves 6-0 during the last 6 games. Their last 6 during game 1 of the series. All right, they're 1-4 their last 5 overall. And Boltowitz is 1-5 on the road. So, as far as the sides, I guess I could kind of see why you're playing a little bit of Cincinnati here, but I'm not finding a lot of love for Cincinnati as they are 5-0. Their last 5 home games versus a team with a losing record. 4-1 versus the National League East. 5-0 versus their last 5 home games versus a team with the losing record at home. The Reds, Arroyo, 12-5. His last 15 starts versus a team with the losing record. So I guess I could see a little bit for Cincinnati, but not much. Let's get back to the over. That's where the money is. 5-2-1 for the over for the Braves versus a righty. 37-15 their last 53 following a loss. 63-31-4 their last 98 overall. We're almost hitting the century mark. I'm looking for it to be a good, solid 65% winner. It's actually better because you got 4 pushes in there. Boltowitz 4-1 to the over his last 5 starts. 8-3 to the over his last 11 on the road. What more do you need, guys? Okay, I got it. Over Cincinnati, 4 out of the last 5. 8 out of the last 11 on Friday. 23-9-2 of their last 34 after allowing 5 or more runs the previous game. 9-4 their last 13. You need more reasons to play this over? I got more. Arroyo, 15-5-1 his last 21 starts overall to the over. 3-1-1 the last 5 meetings. I got some bad news, guys. 4-1-1 to the under the last 6 in Cincinnati. That's not going to stop me. We got a nice solid play. Over 10. Cincinnati, Atlanta. Game's going off shortly. Click it, bet it, win it, make some money. Next game on the board is going to be the Chicago White Sox. And they are playing the Detroit Tigers. And Tigers open up a $1.70 favorite. They're busted all the way up to 200. Fulmer on the mound for Detroit. Holland on the mound for the White Sox. And Fulmer gives you lots of reasons to beat that $2 favorite. White Sox, no reason. I'm not seeing much of a reason for the dog here. 3-10 their last 13 road games. And while the Tigers come in 14-4 following a day off. But big number here. Tigers 1-10 last 11 following a win. That's got to worry you a little bit. But like I said, Fulmer 6-1 his last 7 home starts. 24-10 his last 34 overall. Don't want to bet against that too much. The over in the White Sox games are 6-1 versus a righty. 10-4 versus a righty their last 15. 6-1 was their last 7 on the road. 8-3-2 their last 13 following a loss to the over. Holland is an over pitcher lately. 5 straight overs. 6-1-1. 5 straight overs and 6-1-1 his last 8. Detroit comes in with 8-2-1 to the over on Friday, and Buck 10-4 following a win to the under. So Detroit loses and goes under after a win. That's something that's got to get you a little worried about today's game. The over, though, is 35-15 for the Tigers in a home game following a road trip of 7 days or more. And that definitely qualifies for them today. 4 out of 5 in Detroit have gone over. 8 out of 10 have gone over. And the only sparkling spot you're going to get for the White Sox in this matchup is they've beaten them 6 out of the last 8 times. But when you get to the last 62 of them, White Sox have only beaten them 18 out of 44. So have a tough time to pull the trigger on either side of these teams here today. But time to move on to the next game, which will be the hot Houston Astros against the Texas Rangers. Astros 18-6 this year on the road. Texas 17-10 at home. And I got to tell you something. Texas has had their way with Houston over the years dramatically. And but now that the teams have flipped the switch a little bit, it's changed. It changed a little bit through the series. But this is probably the spot with Darvish on the mound. I'm sorry, this isn't the spot with Darvish on the mound, but you're going to find a spot for Texas here because Texas, over the last 100, the last 100 or so times that they've played, I'm going to get you the exact number here in a second, but it's pretty dramatic. Texas has owned them, and I can't believe I went there without the number, guys, but Texas has owned them somewhere in the neighborhood of close to 70 out of the last 100 games, going into the last series where Houston got 3 out of 4. Houston 20-8 their last 28 road games versus a righty 38-16 overall. So they're a hot team that you really don't want to bet against, but I think you might find a good spot to bet against them with a nice underdog scenario. Today looks like a good spot to be playing Houston as Keuchel 6-0 in his last 6 road starts. 22-5 his last 27 starts and 5 days rest. 9-7 his last 26 when they start a series. 51-25 his last 76 starts overall. And so Keuchel's definitely a nice little spot. Rangers, as I said, they're hot at home, 17-10, 9-2 their last 11. But they're cold because they've been on the road, 2-7 their last 9 overall. So Darvish has won his last 5 starts after a quality start, and he has won at home, and he's 6-1 in his last 7 starts. But going against Keuchel, I'm not seeing it today. I think Keuchel's definitely your play here. Houston 6-1-1 to the over on the road, and 5-2 to the over the last 7 road games versus a team with a losing record. And Keuchel's last 11 starts have gone over the number. I'm sorry, he's all right, Keuchel 8-3 his last 11 starts following a quality start to the over. So I'm seeing a little bit of an edge for Texas. I'm not seeing too much for the side. Here's the numbers. Astros 31-73 their last 104 meetings. So and 13-40 in Texas. Darvish 1-4 at Houston. This is why I'm seeing a little Keuchel in here. 7-1 to the over for Keuchel when he plays at Texas. So maybe a little over there. But definitely Keuchel's your play. And so let's get on to that is the last game of the early, Dodgers game. So next game on the board is the Dodger game. And that one, we got plenty of time. Everything else just kind of started. And the Dodgers, they are at Milwaukee. And they have won 4 straight in the first game of a series. 6 out of the last 8 overall. And Kershaw, we know he's a monster. 42-12 on the mound, his last 54 starts. And 45-16 when he starts a series. So that's definitely, Dodgers loving that. And then on the road, 45-21, so he gets the job done on the road. Milwaukee's not bringing much. They're 14-15 this year at home. And but they are definitely over 35-15 to the over this year. And they are definitely an over team at home, as their record this year at home to the over is 19-10. But the Dodgers are coming in at 11-15 to the under on the road. So, but and you got Kershaw on the mound, so I could see why you wouldn't want to be on an over here tonight with the Kershaw on the mound. Dodgers 5-2 the last 7 to the under. Kershaw 13-4-1 to the under on the road. But in the first game of the series, again, Dodgers 7-3 to the over. Milwaukee 7-2 to the over. Their last 9 games versus a left-handed starter, and 17-7 their last 24 home games have gone over. Kershaw has been an under versus the Brewers, 4 unders and a push. His last 5 starts, 3 unders and a push in Milwaukee, 5 overs, 1 under and a push the last 6 in Milwaukee, and the Dodgers have won 5 out of the last 6. So I got to give the nod, obviously, to Kershaw. Not seeing any value there in the underdog. Not interested in laying 2-1. If I'm going to find a 2-1 favorite, I'm going to find something to tie him up with. I don't think it's that big of a nut that he's in the 90% to 95% chance of winning here tonight. So that's what I kind of look for when I look to try to parlay a big favorite. So as I said, Dodgers minus 230. Little steam on Milwaukee, down to 210. Opened up 7.5. Little bit of steam on the over. And I am seeing that we're going to pass this game away as well. Next game on the board, this game, this used to be a huge over. I mean, ridiculous. Cleveland at Kansas City. This game went over, I believe, at a rate of 22-7 or 22-5 at one point in Kansas City. It was a monster. That's changed. You got to watch for that stuff. So right now, Cleveland 19-30 to the under. Kansas City 20-30 to the under. So now you got this great over game, and you got to start looking at it under. So that kind of sucks when that happens, but you got to, you got to roll with the changes. 2 out of the last 3 have gone under, but 6-3-1. I mean, over 6-3-1 to the under the last 7 meetings for these two teams. And on the mound tonight, 5-4 to the over for Tomlin, but Vargas is 2-8 to the under. So that gives me a little more inkling for the under. Indians on Friday nights are doing a decent job, 36-15. And they're kind of hot right now, hitting 4 out of the last 5. When Tomlin's on the mound and he faces a team with a losing record, he's won 17 and lost 4. And he's got that tonight. And the American League Central, 20 winners, 6 losers against the American League Central for Tomlin, 6-2 on the road. So definitely some good edge there for Cleveland, who went from Kansas City opened up a $1.15 favorite. Now Cleveland's a $1.15 favorite. So you can kind of see why Cleveland is the steam. The total on the game was 8.5, moved to 9. Kansas City 10-4, their last 14 following a loss. 10-2 for Vargas in his last 12 home starts. So that'll make you a little nervous when you're on Cleveland. 14-6 for Vargas overall his last 20 starts. So I'm leaving it alone, but I can see a little bit of reason why you esteemed Cleveland there. They're definitely the better team. But right now, Kansas City is the hotter team. The under now, 10-2-1 for the Indians during the first game of the series so far this year. 12-3-1 versus the American League Central. 9-3-1 their last 13 road games versus a lefty. And 23-8-4 their last 35 road games. They're all unders, guys. Versus a lefty, 19-7-1. Last 38 road games following a win, 26-10-2. And when Tomlin pitches on the road, 6-1-2 to the under. So I'm seeing a lot of good under. They're steaming it over. Royals 8-2 to the under the last 10 home games versus the righty. 17-7 to the under. 27-13 their last 40 on grass to the under. Vargas 8 out of 9 under at home. 15-2 to the under the last 17 overall. Kind of talking myself into giving you an under here, guys. The under 4-0-1 in Kansas City. Vargas 4 unders versus the Indians. 4 straight unders for Tomlin versus the Royals. 7 out of 8 unders for the Indians and Kansas City. Right before it were all them overs. I got burned a few times on them unders, but the under seems to be the play here today. I just haven't taken it because I was on an overrun for a long time. It's an obvious under play here today, but I'm leaving it alone. I'm actually cold right now. I was unbelievably on fire, but right now I'm a little cold, so I'm keeping my plays a little limited. And the Indians, they've had their way 11-3 versus the Royals, so I could see why you would want to see Indians and under in this matchup. So there's definitely some edge there, but I'll be passing on it. Maybe you won't. You got a little time to think about it. That game goes off here in a short bit. I'm going to drink some of my invisible water. So, what do we got going on next here, guys? We got any more games going? We got more games. We got the Washington Nationals. Now, the Nats, they are traveling. Oh, boy. They are traveling to Oakland. Washington at Oakland. Current line is Strasburg on the mound. He opens up a $1.47 favorite. They bet him a little bit, and they bet him down to $1.35, $1.30. So they're not Strasburg. They're betting Triggs on the mound for Oakland. Total is 7.5. I'm not seeing why you would bet Strasburg or why you would bet against Strasburg in this matchup, especially when the Nats are a little bit warm right now. 5 out of the last 6 games, winning 4 straight road games. 7 out of the last 8 following an off day, and so I'm just not really seeing why this team would be on Oakland. Strasburg's 10-1 his last 11 starts. In the first game of a series, 39-12 his last 51 starts overall. 22-8 his last 30 road starts. 44-18 his last 62 after a quality start. So when he gets on a roll, he's on a roll. 39-18 for Strasburg his last 57 versus a team with a losing record. So I'm not seeing this team. I'm seeing a reason to play Strasburg. I don't like playing the favorites, guys. I like to parlay them in the favorites. But Oakland, 8-3 at home, so they are warm at home right now. But 3-9 their last 12 interleague games. And in the first game of a series, they don't do well. They're 7-22 their last 29 in the first game of a series. They're 1-5 their last 6 overall. They're 1-8 their last 9 interleague home games. And you'd think, okay, well, maybe it's the pitching. Well, Triggs is 3-7 his last 10 home starts. So definitely seeing a play against the steam here with Washington. In the total, I'm not feeling much love either side. 8-3-1 for the Nats. Their last 12 in the first game of the series have gone over, but after that, it looks like under. 35-16-5 when they started with a whip, less than $1.15. And Strasburg on the road is under 4-1. 7-2-1 his last 10 starts overall under. And the A's 6-2 to the under their last 8 overall. So not much for the totals. And I guess the only reason I could see a steam here is that the A's have handled the Nats with 6 straight wins at home for the Nats. But for the A's over the Nats. So maybe that'd be the only reason why I'm seeing a reason to play this, to play the steam. I'm seeing a lot of Strasburg. I'm seeing a little bit of under because Strasburg has been kind of controlling the games, but Triggs has been an over pitcher as of late, 3 straight overs. And both teams, well, at the venues, a little bit over, 15-11 over for the Nats, 14-11 on the road, 14-11 over for the A's at home. So a lot of mixed emotion for this game as far as I'm concerned. But I don't see I couldn't put the money on the dog here. I'd definitely be looking at the favorite. So a couple more games on the board here. Let's go to the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. And they will be traveling up to Seattle. And My kids will be going to that game, enjoying the game. College night, half-price tickets. Uber home, guys. Uber home. It's the best I can say. And have fun, because it should be a nice, exciting game, maybe? I don't know. Tampa's a little bit an over team, 32-24 to the over, but Seattle's definitely been an under team. The Rays are hot, 6-2, their last 8 overall. But on the road, when they play a team with a winning record, not so good. 20 wins, 46 losses. Ordizzi's, he's 3-12. His last 15 starts during game 1 of a series. So tough spot to play the dog. The line on the game is $1.15, open up $1.10 for the underdog Tampa Bay Devil Rays. Or they're now the Rays today. Let's be politically correct, everybody. And the line is 8.5 on the total, and the total is over is minus $1.20. So they got a little steam on the over. Mariners 4-1, their last 5 overall, 9-4 their last 13 home games versus a right-handed pitcher, but 1-4 their last 5 home games. Tampa Bay comes in with 4 straight overs, 7 straight overs on the road versus a right-handed pitcher. 8 out of 9, their last 9 following a day off to the over. 13-3-1 on Friday. 12-4, their last 16 versus a right-hander. 38-13-2 for the Rays during the first game of a series. All these are over numbers. Why aren't I playing it over? Ordizzi, 13-3 to the under his last 16 starts. 28-1 to the under his last 29 starts on grass. Mariners on Friday, 11-1 to the under, 6-1-2 their last 9 overall. So that's why we won't be playing the over. And why aren't we playing the Rays with those good numbers? 11-5 for Seattle at home, or Seattle overall, the last 16 meetings. So not much to find an edge on that game, but hope the kids have a good time tonight. So next game on the board, going to be the Colorado-San Diego game. And Colorado opens up as a $1.32 favorite. And San Diego is the steam as a bet down. Colorado has been bet down. And currently, San Diego has been kind of an over team at home. And Colorado's been an over team overall, 32-24. And they've really done the job on the road this year, unexpectedly, Colorado. 19-9 on the road this year, but now you're paying the price for them because for that 19-9 by having to lay the points. But it is San Diego, who is 12-14 at home, and never really a great team to be betting on. So head-to-head, they have definitely experienced some unders unders as of the last 10. 3 out of the last 10 have gone over. 2 of them have been out of the last 3 games, though. So the Rockies 6-1 their last 7 games during the first game of the series. 8-3 the last 11 road games versus a team with a losing record. And as I said, 10-14 on the road, 16-41 though versus a left-handed pitcher on the road. But we talked about it the other day. The Rockies have been hitting left-handed pitching because now they are 12-5 versus left-handed pitchers of the last 7. So that's another reason why you may be paying, but I think you're paying too much for them here today. Padres, 4 straight wins for them at home versus a right-hander and overall, but 3-10 following a day off and 1-4 in Richards' last start. So have a tough time backing them, even though they are a home dog. 7 straight unders for the Rockies on the road versus a lefty. 5-1-1 during the first game of the series to the over, though. 13-5 to the under versus a left-handed starter their last 18 games. And San Diego 6-0-1 their last 7 to the under. So even though they have been an over team at home, and I'll get you their home number here real quick, they are, now they're 14-11 to the over, so they've fallen from grace with those overs with a little streak of unders at home. So not feeling a lot of love for this game either, guys, but I'm getting you the information that can get you, hopefully, to the next level and give you reason to play some of this action. And that is going to be the last game on the board here for today's show. Hopefully you got some information on the games. Don't forget the 2 plays. We got 2 nice solid picks for you here today. And in fact, they've already went off. Let's see what they're doing right now since the game started. Atlanta, Cincinnati, bottom of the first, no score. Pittsburgh and the Mets, top of the first, no score. So no activity so far. Let me refresh and see if I missed anything. I did not miss anything, so we got no score, but I got 2 plays out there today, and we're going to come back. We're going to have a nice weekend show for you to try to get you some more plays throughout the weekend, and then we'll be back for you live again Monday with BettorCenter Live. This is Louis Diamond, live from Las Vegas. Looking forward to seeing you again here real soon on BettorCenter.